Welcome to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I'm your host, Darrell Scott, and together we will dive into the lives and careers of the jazz legends who have left a rhythmic imprint on the world. Be prepared to reminisce on the highs and the lows of their musical journey and the trials that sculpted their timeless musical gems. We'll preserve the legacy of these extraordinary maestros and find inspiration in the melodies of their lives. Subscribe now and never miss a beat. Now, let's get to the show. Hi there. Welcome to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I am Darrell Scott. Today, we're going to talk to a man who's a composer, a producer, and a keyboardist, all working with his fingers. His name is Tim Heintz. Tim, welcome to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. How are you today?
Oh, hey, Darrell, how you doing? Doing great.
I am fine. We're going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, I've been listening, or I'll say listen. I've been listening to jazz for a long time. I probably have 10 favorite songs, probably have 10 different genres that they fall into. But this gentleman did a song called Dear Jackie. Mm, mm, mm. If
Mm.
you haven't heard it, you need to hear it. And we'll play a little bit of it later on, but we got some things to talk about first. Tim, how did this keyboard composer producer career start?
Well, we can go way back. My mom, when I was a little kid, started playing piano when I was 4 or 5 years old. My mom taught piano and she played herself, and it was just in the house. And I just naturally took to it. And that's just kind of what I always did. I started with piano. When I was about seven, remember being, you'd go to the mall and they'd have these organ stores, and they'd have all
Yes.
the organs with all the buttons and the gadgets. And I was very enamored with that. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. And so I actually, my main instrument growing up was the organ.
Mm,
And then I kind of got back into piano around junior high, high school, and because that's what I was playing in the jazz band and all that stuff. And but no, it was just I was just always just loved music, from way back.
I am always amazed, especially at keyboardists. I got the manual dexterity of, I don't know, squash Bellagio grape. But with piano players, it's every finger. You're doing something with each. My thumbs are useless, but for you, how do you learn? I mean, I'm sure there's somebody over your shoulder telling you what to do, but how do you do that?
Well, it's there. I mean, honestly, there's no shortcuts. You just have to spend a lot of time, working, getting your fingers to do and, just practicing, you got to put in your 10,000 hours, like they say. And, I don't know, I think at some point it just kind of becomes, I always say it's like comes be like another language, and you're expressing with your hands and with music instead of just as easily as you can talk, and once you like Charlie Parker, what did he said something like, learn everything and then forget it all and just play. And it's kind of like that. You have to like get all that stuff under your fingers, get your fingers where they can, play the instrument and then be free to just play,
Hmm.
and let them go. But yeah, it just there's no shortcuts for putting in the time, honestly.
I keep hoping one of you will tell me a shortcut and it won't benefit me because don't get me wrong, I'm too old to play piano or keyboards or whatever now. But some of our listeners out there are aspiring musicians.
Yeah.
Who were the keyboardists, piano players, whatever you want to call it, that you listened to while growing up?
Um, so I love Jimmy Smith on the organ.
Mm,
Jimmy
hmm.
was like, he had all those chops and it was funky, bluesy, and great. Of course, people like Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, um, Keith Jarrett. I really like
Yes.
how his
Hmm.
melodic approach, and it was and then really one of my favorites was Lyle Mays, who is the pianist in the Pat Metheny group,
Pat Metheny group,
and
right?
who really is just was just one of my heroes as far as and besides his playing, he had just an incredible sense for arranging that music. I mean, I think, I love Pat Metheny, but I think the best Pat Metheny music is when Lyle was paired with him and they were doing those amazing records with all this, really cool arrangement, taking these songs to different places. And then
Yep.
he just, play, just go on the piano and play beautifully.
I think if I remember correctly, I saw them in concert one time, and I don't think Lyle ever lifted his head up. He
That
was
sounds about
constantly looking at the keyboard, like, and you want to go, you should know this by now.
right.
But whatever.
I don't think he needed to look at the keyboard. I
Right.
think he was
Exactly.
the kind of
So,
guy,
yeah,
Um,
yes,
he was, man, what a, and we lost him a couple years ago. What a, really
tragic
super
loss.
inspiring. And
Yeah.
then another guy who I on the, I like pop music as well, and David Foster is one of my heroes,
Oh, okay.
who is not really a jazz player per se,
Right.
incredible musician and arranger and producer. And
Hmm.
the way he used keyboards in pop music and just brilliant. So he's been a hero of mine also.
Okay. Then you spent some time played with Shaka Khan.
Mm,
Interesting. Michael McDonald, different. And Boss Skaggs,
yeah.
different. What did you, and I don't want to say there's like three separate entities, but they kind of are. What did you take from them to take to your own personal frontman of the band sort of thing? What did you learn from playing behind them or playing with them?
Yeah, they are very different kind of people. The Boss Skaggs was a short. I did like one summer tour in Japan with him to back up a record, and it was what big stages. We're playing like the Budokan in Tokyo and stuff like that. So it was kind of big rock and roll shows. Um, but playing with Michael was great because Michael's this fantastic keyboard player, and he'll like go, oh, he would even say, I don't know what I'm doing, I just play it. This is just how I hear it when I play it. And it would just feel great. There was this magical thing with him that happened between his playing and his voice and these songs, and it was just really just an incredible musician and talent. So good. And but a good, I learned a lot about the energy of how he plays and just kind of driving the band with a keyboard, because it was very keyboard oriented music as opposed to like the Boss Gag stuff was a little more rock and roll, guitar oriented. And then of course playing with Shaka. I mean, I'm lucky. I say I played with like the greatest male singer in Michael McDonald and the greatest female singer in Shaka Khan.
Hmm.
Play with both of them. And Shaka's, man, that music, oh my gosh, and she is just a powerhouse, as no one sings like her. And her range, we do these jazz standards sometimes, and we do that old Rufus stuff, and the ballads like Through the Fire, and it just every night it was thrilling, just thrilling to be on stage with her. And the interesting thing when I play with her, as opposed to like say playing with Michael McDonald or Boss Skaggs. It was a bigger band. There were a couple keyboard players. Everybody, you kind of have to stay in your lane, and it's it's very rehearsed, and you have to kind of stick to your parts. There's not a lot of room for improvising because it's a very set thing. With Shaka, we had a four-piece band plus three girl singers who were like amazing, and piano, keyboards, bass, guitar, drums, and it was just like just play. It was not very structured. I mean, we had our song arrangements, but there was so much room for freedom and extended solos, and let's kind of do this tonight and put a little different sauce on it, and it was great.
So when we're in a situation like that, and obviously each situation is different, are those things, for lack of a better term, are those kind of dictated to you in the beginning so I know with Shaka I can kind of freelance, I can kind of do my own thing. With Michael, there won't be so much that. With Balls, it'll be different. How do you know when you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do?
You kind of figure it out as you go along, honestly.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, no, this needs to be like this part. We want it to sound like the record. It's kind of, you kind of get a sense of who you're working with and how much, some of those artists on the road when we're playing in a touring band, they want it exactly like the record, and it's like the right sound and the same every time. And um, sometimes it can be, honestly, not that creative sometimes because you're just playing the same. It's like being in an orchestra. You have to play the part that's in front of you and you play it, and it's part of the ensemble, and that's what makes the ensemble work and the songs work. Because if everybody's going off, it could be a mess. It could be a train wreck. So it just depends on the style of music and what's appropriate. And you kind of have to, you kind of sniff that out when you get in the situation.
Nice. Okay, so I go back to Quiet Time, Searching the Heart, Dear Jackie, which we're going to hear in a few moments, Summer Rain, Together at Last. They're major hits. But you've kind of had a career shift, if we can call it that. What prompted that? What made you get into film scoring and all this other stuff that you do?
Um, Honestly, it's just kind of opportunities came. I think with my recording career as an artist, I I just kind of didn't want to, I got married at a young family. I didn't want to go on the road.
Okay.
I wanted to, and I really always loved working in the studio. That's kind of my first love with playing is working in the studio. So everything just kind of came out of that. I'd be working on somebody's record, or I did a lot of commercials. I wrote and played on had these guys that I worked with that did commercials. So 2 or 3 times a week we'd go and record a commercial, and then there might be a TV show or a film or some opportunities came along, and I just kind of went with them. I go, well, this sounds interesting, and I think I've just always considered myself more of a working musician than an artist per se, and we're just wherever I'm going to kind of go where the work leads me. But I've gotten to do like very, very creative things.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute, but right now, I think what we'll do is we'll take a listen to one of your songs from a few years ago. This is Summer Rain on the Jazz Flyte Podcast with our guest, Tim Heintz. Hi there, Darrell Scott here. This is the Jazz Flyte Podcast. He is Tim Heintz. He's our guest today. Dude's got some great music. I saved the best song for later in the show. It really is nice, folks. It really is. So, Tim, these other things that you're doing, one of them, you're involved with Disney doing a lot of different things. My first question is, what's the process when they want you to put together something, unlike a single or a whole CD? What's the process of putting that one song together?
Well, it's interesting. Typically, what I do for Disney is for their theme parks.
Hmm.
So I might do a parade. I just did a new parade for Walt Disney World that I worked on. It might be a fireworks show over the castle. It might be a stage show with singers and dancers telling a story. So the process is that they have a script writer, a show director. There's a whole production team. It's a lot of layers of people involved to bring one of these shows together. So by the time I'm involved, they usually kind of have a script. They know basically what the show is going to be about, and the story they're trying to tell. And they'll have the mute. They say, "Look, we want to use these songs. Typically it's Disney songs because
Hmm.
wonderful, songs, Lion King and
Right.
Hercules and Moana and all of that. So you've got this great library catalog of music to work with, and they use those songs to help tell the story. And for instance, there's this fireworks show in Walt Disney World in Florida called Happily Ever After. It's been running about 7, 8 years. Kind of a big, Disney fans love it. And it's about a 15, 18 minute long show. Probably goes through about 40 songs, little snippets. And I have to kind of create these medleys and how they transition into each other. And reimagine them so maybe it's a little bit different framing than the way people have usually heard it, so it's interesting. So we'll do that. I go to my studio, I work it all out on my MIDI. I've got a full MIDI studio where it sounds like an orchestra and
Hmm.
all that, and I get it all done and we tweak it. There's a lot of back and forth with all the show directors and other production people involved. And we get it to where it's happy and everybody likes it. And then we take it, we record a live band, and we go and record a live orchestra, usually, and singers and all that. So it's been amazing. It's really brought me this world of working with orchestras too, which was something that's not typically part of smooth jazz. And
Right.
and I love it. I've gotten to record orchestras all around the world. We've gone to Abbey Road and record, with the incredible, scoring musicians there, and Budapest, and even Iceland, Nashville. We go all over and record these incredible musicians. It's a dream, really.
So I'm guessing your time is a bit more structured because you only have a certain amount of time to create this, or is it I'll kind of take as long as I need?
Well, they're long processes. Some of these shows we might work on it for a year or a year.
Wow.
I mean, they might be, by the time they get it to me, I'll do the first draft. Might take, a month to do the first draft of a show and send it in. They'll live with it, give me some notes. I work again on it, give them it's just some back and forth. And there's they're doing animation to it in the meantime. There might be, oh, we animated this and it looks a certain way. Can you change it? Change your music now to fit the animation. So it's a long process. Not that different than doing a movie. Actually, scoring a movie is very, very similar. That you've got, you do stuff and you submit it, and there's changes and tweaks, and they might change the cut of the picture, and your music's all perfect and working great, and they change but that's just part of the gig.
It's just one of those things. How did you adapt to that? I mean, you come from, I'll say anywhere from a 3 to 5 minute song, and you're doing maybe 10, 12 songs for your CD or your project, whatever we want to call it in today's age, to now it's taking a year to get this process from beginning to end. How do you adapt to that?
Well, in the course of it, I'm not working it on, first of all, I'm not working on it every day for a year,
Right, right.
in a chunk, and I'll wait, and then I'll work on it another chunk, and I'll wait, and so it's kind of like that. It's spread out. And typically I have multiple projects going at once. So I'll work on this project for a couple weeks, and oh, I got to do some work on this project, and so I have different things going. I might be doing a record, with playing, arranging on somebody's album or something like that in the meantime also. So, or you squeeze in a commercial or something.
How do you? I'm amazed. And I say this a lot, so listeners don't get bored with me. I think musicians are geniuses because of what you have to do, the multiple changes, the multiple things you have going on, your manual dexterity, blah, 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 writing songs, whatever. How do you, if you have several projects going on at the same time, how do you keep them straight?
You have to be very organized. I'll tell you what, I'll have like a big to-do list, it's like, oh, I got to be sure I get to this, I get this, I get this. You have deadlines. So deadlines kind of drive, it's a job, right? Doesn't it?
Right. Yes.
It's a job, not just sitting making pretty music in my studio, all the time. You have deadlines and things that have to happen. You have to be organized. And I'll tell you what I do the more I have going on, I feel it just kind of makes the creativity move better when I'm busy. honestly. It's like if I sit and think about it too much, I don't know if I get lazy or something. But when things are going, it's exciting, I think it excites me to do the music more. Some oddly enough. So
So again, I will say this. One day you're going to look up and see something flying in your room, and that bug's going to be me. And I just want to watch this whole creative process because I think in everyone's case, it's a little different. You have your little nuances that you do that you like to do that make it work. Other people do obviously do other things. But I think the challenge is that's to me, that should be the new TV show. Kind of put a camera up in a room and just watch you work and then see the end process of what comes out. Do you ever go to the Disney park or wherever and listen to what you've done?
I do. I do. In fact, I was just there like a week and a half ago. I just went to Florida and I had this new parade, this Starlight Parade open up, which was really cool. And so I got to see that and I did this Little Mermaid show that was that all that wonderful
Hmm.
mermaid music. And then I did a villain show, which was like all this scary, fun and scary music, with a big orchestra and a big gothic choir and all this. It was very different. And it was fun, it was great to see it on the stage. The music's pre-recorded, so it's not musicians playing. You've got some actors and singers live
Right.
on music's pre-recorded, and to get to see it actually all put together in front of an audience, see how audiences react to it, and how it all works. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I've teased this enough. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Dear Jackie from Tim Heintz on the Jazz Flyte Podcast. You're going to love this. I told y'all that's a really, really good song. Tim Heintz, Dear Jackie. Okay, it's from a while ago, but go out and get it. Some of you may know about it, but it is just it's in Darrell's top 10 list. That's all I'm gonna tell you. So if it's in my top 10 list, it's a recommendation that I would give you. Tim, with everything going on, what is the possibility of returning to the smooth jazz? Do you think about it? Does it ever cross your mind? Here's a better question, is there time in your schedule to get it done?
I think of all those things, yes, because I do love it, and that kind of that whole R&B melodic piano, jazzy stuff. That's just it's part of me. So I'd love to do it. I don't know if I will actually do it or not,
Right.
but
Hmm.
and I'm doing kind of some solo piano stuff right now that I'm going to record and release, probably on all the streaming platforms, and so I'm working on a project of that. So I'm just I don't know, I don't know if I'll do it or not, but it is certainly a possibility.
It's one of those things you can put it in the kitchen cupboard and let it sit for a while. And if the opportunity comes up for you to make that dish, at least you know you still have the chops and the skills to do it. I would look very much forward to that. You did a project for, I saw it under your recent work. It's called what? Remind me what it's called. The four.
Is this the 4 days in
Yeah,
November?
4 days in November.
Yeah. It's yeah, this is an idea I actually had about a couple years ago is when I started writing it. And so the story is this, in 2018, I was living, there's this area called Thousand Oaks here in Southern Cal. And it's this very beautiful area with the coastal hills, and it's really nice. So I
Hmm.
this picture, my wife's riding her horse through the hills, and it's this beautiful day. And that night, I think it was a Wednesday or a Thursday night. Um, there's a nightclub in town called the Borderline Bar and Grill, and they'd have country music night. And my kids would go to this, a lot of college kids, and they'd go to this country music night every night. So they're there, everybody's having a good time. All of a sudden, this guy comes in and does a mass shooting, and 14 people. Yeah, it was horrific. So, in fact, my daughter, one of her good friends, was killed in that, and so it's something our whole community struggled with. So just as we're kind of processing that, the Santa Ana winds come up like they do, and this fire started, and this fire called the Woolsey Fire, and it screamed through the area and burned about 1,500 homes,
Mm.
and just it was just a frightening 4 days that everybody in our area experienced. So I kind of had I go that would like I kind of wanted to tell that story musically, and I wanted to do that with a symphony orchestra. So I wrote this piece, and it's four movements, kind of tells through that story. There's a first movement is like a beautiful morning. It's called Wednesday Morning. Um, this chapter two is a borderline about this borderline bar and grill and the shooting. There's a requiem, which is for those who died. Then the fourth movement is a fire chase. It's an exciting piece that kind of follows a fire chase. And then the last movement is called Ashes to Hope, and it has a big hopeful, anthem, thematic anthem in it. So I composed it in my studio on my electronic stuff, and I had the opportunity to record it with an orchestra in Budapest that I work with occasionally, and so I was able to get that released a couple of months ago, or I think in June of this year. I think I released it, and so it's something I'm very proud of, and it's again very different than my smooth jazz,
Yes.
but I enjoy doing, music is music, whatever style it is, and I enjoy pushing myself to try different things and learn and grow musically. So anyway, that's the story of that piece.
So what's the toughest thing you've had to learn from a music standpoint? I mean, you talk about pushing the envelope, so to speak, but what was that tough one where you went, should I really be doing this?
I don't look at it that way because how I've always felt learning music, if you want to, be up here, you're not going to go from here. You're not going to instantly go from here.
Right.
You learn this little piece and a little piece and a little piece and a little piece and a little piece, and it just adds on, and you just grow. One of the things about maybe 15 years ago or so, I go, well, I'm doing all this stuff in my studio, and there's all this technical stuff, and I like technical things. So I go, why don't I make myself learn to be a better engineer? And so I
Mm.
challenge myself to do that. Now, if you look at, if I tried to do it all at once, it's overwhelming. But you learn a little piece and you learn another little piece. And I think music is like that too. So even like the orchestra stuff, learning to work with an orchestra and how that works, I learned you step at a time, and you learn this and you learn this and you learn this, and you just keep growing. It's endless. So so I don't know that it's been, I would say it's like been, wow, this was like a huge hump to get over that
Hmm.
but um, when you look back, after many, many years of working,
Right.
I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot, hopefully, and
Right.
there's so much more to do. Um,
You're
so that's
you're
how I look at it.
you're tremendously talented, but yet you're still also tremendously versatile and constantly learning. And I think that's the thing that I thoroughly appreciate.
Oh, thanks.
Um, Talk about your social media and how we can find that piece that you just talked about.
It's on all the streaming. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, kind of all the streaming. And it's just under my name, Tim Heintz. And that piece, it's called 4 Days in November. So
Nice, nice. And what else are you working on right now that you can tell us about that you can share? Because I'm sure there are some things that you cannot share.
sometimes there are things I cannot share. I mean, honestly, I've been, so busy with this, with all this stuff for Disney and Universal Studios in Florida. I've done some stuff for as well. I just did a really a neat show with a group out of Dallas for the National Medal of Honor Museum. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like a big fireworks drone show to open that museum, and it was just wonderful to learn the stories of all these heroes who fought and just normal guys and girls who just rose above, with such bravery and to help tell their story. And so we did it was a great, about again, a 15-20 minute, show that used all these patriotic themes and just wonderful songs helping to tell the story of American soldiers, over the years and the history of that Medal of Honor. So I get to do some neat things like that.
And I think that's the thing that I really like about you is that you get to do neat things. It's not nothing against the person who's done 28 albums in 32 years, but it's the different things and how you apply yourself and what comes out of it. I think that's the thing I truly enjoy.
Yeah.
Tim, this has been an experience. I like this. Other than the fact that you did Dear Jackie, which you will always be on my all-time list. You will. I cannot lie about that. I appreciate this. I appreciate learning all about all the things that you do. It expands my listenership and what I have to now listen to. When I go to Disney, I'll go, that's Tim Heintz. I know that guy. Um, and it's that kind of thing. So thank you for the time. I greatly appreciate it. As I tell everybody, we reserve the right to call you back when something new comes up. Please add Jazz Flyte to your list. We'll get it on our social media, no matter what it is. So once again, I appreciate it and thank you.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure. Great to meet you and great chatting with you today.
Not a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I'm Darrell Scott. If you like what we do, subscribe. Just view it. If you want to see more, you know how to get a hold of me. It's always at the end of the show. You can email me. There's the YouTube channel. There's everything there. So if nothing else, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I hope you enjoy these stories and soulful melodies that grew through the doors of time. If you want to stay connected with the latest updates and episodes, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Until next time, I'm Darrell Scott.